Okay, there we go. We're on. We got it all figured out. 31 thoughts. The YouTube chat with Sam Gagner, the Detroit Red Wings. First of all, Sam, thanks so much for stopping by. Much appreciated. What have you been doing? We've been trying to cobble together, whether it's podcasts or online shows or radio programs. What has Sam Gagner been doing?
Well, just a lot of hanging out with my kids, chasing them around, obviously being away a little bit this year, getting a chance to just kind of be a dad again. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. And then trying to read a little bit, obviously tough with the busyness of the season. So just catching up on that and trying to stay busy kind of any way we can.
What are you reading?
What am I reading right now? I'm trying to comb through Boundless. It's by Ben Greenfield. I read some of his other stuff. It's like I got this sent, and it I thought it was going to be like a regular book, like his other books, and it turns out it's like a full-on textbook. So I'm trying to comb through some of that and get some snippets and little information that I can use. But so that's been good.
Elliot.
All right, here's my first question. You have to win a game. You have a game where you have to win. It's a must-win game. You have one of two players you can play with on your team. Is it Connor McDavid or one of your best friends, John Tavares? Who are you taking?
No offense to Johnny, but I think I have to go with Connor on this one, and I think I don't think Johnny would hold that against me. Connor, the things he's able to do, and just entering his prime too. I mean, Johnny and I are getting a little old, so Connor is he's a special talent, and I think just like the last year or so, getting a chance to play with him and see him in practice and all the things he does in practice, it's just he's on another level. So I'll have to take him. Sorry, Johnny.
I'm sure you understand. I'm sure the rest of the Oakville Mafia, whether it's who was part of that group? That was you, Tavares, Steve Mason, Stefan Legion.
Yeah, Cody Golubeff. So our minor hockey team, it was Cody Golubeff, Brennan Smith, Akeem Alou was on our team. So we had a good team. A few of us from Oakville, a few of us from kind of some different places. But then, you mentioned Mason, Stefan Legion, all those guys being from Oakville as well. So we had a good crew, and we were able to help each other a lot growing up. So that was good.
Now, everybody skated on your backyard rink, correct?
That's right.
And true or false, even though you've sold the house, you've gone back to skate on that rink as well.
That's true. The family that bought the house for my parents, the Brennickmeyers, have been they're great people, and they allow us whenever kind of we're back in Ontario during the winter to go back and use it whenever we want. So that's been really nice. I mean, a couple of years ago when I was with the Marlies, I went back a couple of times, and then every once in a while I'd be back in the like during Christmas break or whatever, and get a chance to use it then. So it's always a lot of fun to go back.
Well, we'll turn it over to the fans and their Ask 31s in just a second, Jeff. But since you mentioned the rink, Sam, you're at 844 NHL games and counting. Your father, Dave, played 946. When on that rink did you realize you were a better player than your dad?
I don't know. He's still a good player. He always coached me growing up, right? So he was always on the ice, and he ran all our practices, all our skill sessions and stuff like that. And he was like retired for 10 or so years. And I remember him saying to me, I have better hands now than when I played, because I work on it every day. And back when I played, it was, it's different. You don't really get a chance to work on the skills aspect of it as much when you're in season. And he was doing it every day with us. So he said his hands and his edge work and all that kind of stuff was actually better than when he played. So I don't know. I mean, I think maybe when he realized that I could start beating him one-on-one, he stopped playing me. So I don't know if I ever beat him one-on-one.
Well, let me follow you up with this one. Your father was a sneaky tough player. He had 1,018 career penalty minutes. Did he ever give you the stick or a little extra bump just to let you know who was in charge and how it could be?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, his nickname, our minor hockey team, he was one of our coaches. They used to call him Snapper G because he had that intensity where you didn't really want to upset him. And so as a player playing for him, it was kind of always like you had to be on your best behavior or else you knew my dad was coming down on you. But yeah, I mean, you see the way that he coached, it was the same way he played. He was intense, and he still is.
Now, before we get to the comments from people watching right now on the live stream, a follow up on your dad. So, my favorite line that your dad played on was when he played with Minnesota with Mike Modano and Brian Propp.
Mm-hmm.
What's the favorite line you've played with? Two best line mates. Two favorite.
We didn't play together a ton, but when I was with Hall and Eberle in Edmonton, when we did play together, that was always a ton of fun. I mean, I think Ebbs and I think the game in a similar way and play similar styles. And then Halsey, he's one of those guys that just drives the play. And I think when you play with him, you always find yourself in the O zone just because he gets it in the D zone. He just carries it the whole way. So when we played together, we had some good success together, and that was always a lot of fun. Recently, I think when I was in Columbus, Scott Hartnell and I had a lot of chemistry. He didn't move too fast for me, which was nice. So I was able to keep up, and we just had. I've always been more of a playmaker, and he's always been more of a shooter, and we were able to find a lot of chemistry. So that was a lot of fun playing with him.
Okay, so you mentioned Columbus. The first question comes to us from Justin Meyer. Sam, how was your time with Torts? That was a great
Torts. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think early on, when you're just starting to get to know him and his mannerisms and the way he goes about things, there can be times when you don't really know how to handle it. And then as the year goes on, he's always really emotional, and as everyone knows, but he never holds grudges. And the thing that you like about it as a player is you always know where you stand. And so, if there was times where he laid into you or whatever, and the next day it was completely forgotten about, but you knew exactly what was on his mind. There was no guessing. And I always appreciate that in a coach when you you're told where you stand and what you need to do to be better or anything like that. And I appreciated that about Torts for sure.
That was real. That was a real special season for you. That Columbus season. It was almost
power play.
That was like Sam Gagner showing like, hey, I still belong here and I can contribute in the NHL. And man, you were dynamic on that power play. Like that.
Yeah.
Mid-70s Habs.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time I actually had ever played in the middle of the power play, in the bumper spot or the diamond or whatever you want to call it. And I really enjoyed it. And, I didn't know I was good at that. And when I got the chance to play there and really find a role there, I found out I was good at it and just kind of ran with it. So, I mean, when I first signed there, Torts, I talked to him and he said, I'm going to give you every opportunity offensively. And, for from everyone that I've talked to Torts about, it's, if he tells you that, he's going to give you that. So it was a big reason why I signed there, and he was true to his word and gave me every opportunity offensively, and played on the first power play and played in 6-on-5 situations and all that kind of stuff, and it allowed me to find kind of my offensive rhythm and confidence, and it was a huge year for me.
I wonder, looking back, Sam, is there a coach that you went through that you, at the time, you're like, I hated this human being more than anybody else, but with the power of time, you've realized, boy, that person was really good for me?
Well, Torts is a great example of that. I mean, I won't say I ever hated him, but there was times where I hated the things he was saying to me, or I hated the way he, his like the way he brought it across. But, when you have some time to reflect on it, you realize, hey, he cares about you and he wants you to have some success. And, it's all about winning. And, so I think looking back on that year, it was a ton of fun for me. Obviously I had the individual success, but, our team, had a record year for in Columbus history. And, we ran into Pittsburgh in the playoffs, which, kind of a tough draw, but, that's the way things go. And I had a lot of fun that year for sure.
We get something here on Twitter from Fat Dad. Does Sam? This is funny, Sam.
Is that my Twitter account or somebody else's?
It could be a number of us. Does Sam still have my hat from his 8-point night? Also, someone threw a shoe. Please tell me he kept that. The 8-point night again.
I don't know what happened to any of those. I remember coming back into the dressing room after the fact, and they had garbage bags full of hats for me. But I didn't keep them. I think they donated all of them, or I'm not sure what happened to any. And I sure don't know what happened to the shoe. But
what was that night? Must have been so surreal for you. And it happens every now and then for hockey players, where you just have the Midas touch, and every time on your stick, it turns into a point.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've heard people talk about, flow state or being in the zone or anything like that. And I certainly felt it that night. It was just one of those nights where, I remember on one of the points, the play was kind of moving up the ice, and you're accustomed to, going as fast as you can to try and get up in the play. And I remember just kind of sauntering up the ice and thinking, just let this play come to me. And Halsey and Ebbs made a couple plays and turned back. And by the time I got up there, I was in perfect position and I made a play. And I think it was on the 8th point. And it's just kind of one of those nights where it's just you're not rushing anything. Everything's just coming to you and you're just playing. And it was definitely a special night.
All
Got
right.
some more questions there, Jeff?
Oh, we sure do. Let's get to early thoughts on your time as a Detroit Red Wing and players you've been impressed with. I know it's only been a short amount of time, but anyone stand out from your squad now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think when I first got traded there, you understand kind of the year that the guys have gone through and how it can be weighing and difficult on a lot of people. Yeah, I just want, it's always, I think for guys like myself, I can come in with a fresh mindset and just kind of help guys through that. And, it's kind of almost a reset for guys. And so that's kind of what I tried to bring. But, I think that, guys like Dylan Larkin, I mean, he's a young guy and he's had a lot of success in the league already. And I can't imagine that this year's been easy on him, when, he's considered a leader there and everything that's kind of gone down. I'm sure it's been difficult on him, but the way he kind of approached things and his attitude and his work ethic, it impressed me. And, there's a lot of guys in that group, just continuing to battle. I mean, obviously a tough situation, tough year on a lot of guys, but, I wanted to just go in and do what I could to help. Obviously, it was a short period of time, and then all this kind of stuff happened. So, it was tough to kind of get into a rhythm. But, I mean, like I said, it was a tough year, and guys seem to be handling it the best they can.
So two of the NHL's newest arenas, Rogers Place and Little Caesars. Mm-hmm. Which one is nicer?
I actually got asked that a bunch while I was there. They're so similar, right? Because Edmonton, when they were building their arena, they went through Detroit and kind of tried to get a glimpse of. Was that how it worked, or the other way around?
What's that? Sorry.
Which one was built first?
I think Rogers was before. Rogers was before Detroit.
Detroit. So Detroit came to Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So the dressing rooms are really similar. So it actually is easy for me in that when I came in, I kind of knew where everything was and how everything operated. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. I think from talking to people there that like the fan experience and like the concourse and everything, they liked Detroit's a little better. And then, for me, Edmonton's room is huge. And, I really like, they had on the one side, they have like the sunlight coming in. So you kind of feel like it's daylight and, you're not stuck in the basement type of thing. So that I like that part of it.
Okay, so the question before it came from Matt Larson. This comes from Elliot Leonhurst. What was it like playing with Pat Kane in London? That line with Sergei Kostitsyn and you were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. I still see Kane every time we play in Chicago or he plays wherever I am. We go out for dinner and get a chance to catch up. So a month or two ago in Edmonton, we went for dinner and just kind of chatted about things. And I know that he just got his jersey retired in London, so we were kind of reminiscing on all that. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I mean, obviously with the talent that Pat has, the skill level, he's a pretty easy guy to play with, and we had a lot of fun playing together. I think at that age, 17, 18, it's just hockey, playing junior hockey, so much fun, and we had a really good team. And playing with him and Sergei, I mean, you can't really ask for more as a 17-year-old junior.
Well, did it just seem easy? Like, there's very few players that walk into the OHL and it's easy, but it seemed like you were one of those guys, and so was Pat.
Well, we were going through some stats of it, and I think over 50% of both of our points were on the power play, and that year was the year that they kind of changed all the rules. Right. So we were getting like 10 power plays a game. So it felt like the whole game we were on the power play, and so that part of it did feel a little bit easy.
And in true Dale Hunter fashion, I'm sure you're on for the full 2 minutes of every single power play.
Or if it was a major, we were on for the full 5 minutes. We weren't coming off. It was great. There was times I remember, you kind of get like, oh, you're not supposed to. You grow up playing and you're like, okay, you're supposed to play for a minute and get off. And there was times we'd come to the bench and he'd be like, no, stay. Okay. And our power play breakout used to be 4 guys stretch and the first guy back just go and grab it and bring it in the zone. So that made things a little easier too. It was normally Sergei or Pat, so I would just stretch and let those two kind of bring it in the zone, and it wasn't too hard.
One of the things I was curious about, Sam, is I don't know what that contraption is over your right shoulder, but what is that exactly?
It's a jumper for my 6-month-old daughter. Yeah.
I was wondering but is there
gym equipment? It's not gym equipment, Elliot.
No, I don't know what gym equipment looks like. So what I was wondering is there a particular item of memorabilia in your house that you are most proud of or that you really like to see?
I've actually just started now to try and ask guys for sticks or whatever, but my second year in the league, or maybe my first, it was Peter Forsberg came back from that long hiatus and played, and I played against him the one night, and I actually remember I was playing with Rafi Torres and Jarrett Stoll on a line, and we were kind of like a pseudo checking line, and we were going to play against Forsberg, and I wasn't ready for that at 18 years old or 19 or whatever I was, and because I was just in awe of him the whole game. He was my favorite player growing up, and I was like, I wanted to be like Forsberg. So I was caught watching a little too much, and I think I ended up -3 in my first 3 shifts or something, and that was the end of the night for me. But I did get a stick signed by him after that, and so I keep that in my wherever I'm living, and it's in my basement now. So that's a pretty cool piece of memorabilia for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of questions, not one person in specific, but 3 or 4 people asking what it was like playing with the Sedins.
Yeah, no, it was pretty special. We didn't get put together as line mates till later in the season, and we developed some chemistry kind of right away, and they're obviously great players, great people. And, even at the end, they still thought the game at such an unbelievable level. So to play with them, it was great. I mean, just they kind of, they're two guys that kind of know where you are at all times. And, if you go to the right areas, you're going to get scoring chances. So I had a ton of fun playing with them. And then, it was, everyone knew they were kind of retiring. They made that announcement kind of later in the year. So the last number of games, that you're kind of part of history, getting a chance to play with these guys who have had Hall of Fame careers, and you're going to be their last line mate, as long as you play well and you stay on their line. So, it was a great experience for me. I think, looking back on my time in Vancouver, that was probably the shining moment for me. And being their last line mate and playing with them in those last couple of games was pretty special.
How do you? It's always I can't remember who it was. It might have been Alex Burrows who mentioned that they communicate like dolphins. Like there's weird sounds they make amongst each other, and they just understand where each other are. How did you communicate with the Sedins, Sam?
You don't have to say much. I mean, they think on another level, kind of. So I think you just try and be ready in scoring areas when they're kind of done making their plays, and that's what I try to do. I think I would have loved to play with them in their prime. I know I had the displeasure of having to play against them sometimes in their prime. Getting stuck in their, spin cycle or whatever for some extended shifts. And back in the day, playing in Edmonton. So that was always difficult, but playing with them, it was a lot of fun.
Any more questions you got there, Jeff? We only have a couple more minutes, so I want to let the fans have it if we can.
Got tons. Yeah, we totally do. We have a few people that are asking about the BOA. What was it like? I mean, that game, it was a lopsided game. Edmonton beats the Calgary Flames Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. Tkachuk, Kassian, and who were you going after in the second period? Because out of nowhere, Sam Gagner comes flying in to the boards going after someone. I can't remember who it was. Who did you take a good run at there?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. The one in Edmonton?
Though the Saturday night, that was in Calgary.
Okay.
In Calgary.
I knew I kind of took a run at somebody in Edmonton, and I'm not sure who it was. And it's just kind of one of those games. They're intense, right? They're playoff style games, and everyone's kind of looking to get a piece of each other. But the one in Calgary, I think it was after, I kind of took a stab at the goal at Talbot, with the puck laying there, and then Giordano kind of jumped on top of me, and that's kind of when I kind of went back at him, and it was a whole melee that ensued. So,
And you started it.
I don't know. I people were saying it was me, but the puck was there. I was trying to score. I mean, regardless of what the score is, I'm going to try and score, and especially in that game. But yeah, and then it was crazy. So I kind of got pulled out of the pile and told to get off the ice. That I had gotten a penalty or misconduct or whatever. So I went to go leave the ice, and I just kind of turn around and I see Smitty standing at center ice and Talbot coming towards him, and I'm like, this is incredible. Like, you see games like this kind of like in the 80s or whatever, but this doesn't happen anymore. And you got fights going on, you got the goalie fight going on, and I was like, I'm not leaving the ice. I'm watching this. So that was incredible. I mean, we went in between this. It was at the end of the second that all happened. So we're in the dressing room, and it was kind of like Will Ferrell in Old School, when we're all just screaming at each other like, we got to keep our composure. It was like we still have a game to win, but everyone was so pumped up that we were just trying to relax and keep our composure. But it was. Yeah, those games are the most fun to be a part of. I mean, I haven't played a ton of playoff games, but that was the closest you get to a playoff game at that time of year, and it was incredible.
Elliot, I think you're trying to.
I'm watching the highlights, and you're about to go with Giordano, and it's Tkachuk who gets in there. And then Ethan Bear kind of pulls Tkachuk off. Yes. Yeah. And then we cut to Mike Smith standing at center ice waiting for Talbot.
Yeah.
And so just before Tkachuk fights Bear, it looks like you and him and Giordano are in some little mix there. So I bet you didn't even realize it was Tkachuk, eh?
No, I didn't. Obviously, he's kind of been in the middle of everything in that battle this year. But yeah, I mean, I think at that point you're not even thinking. You're just trying to get a piece of somebody, basically.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask you about one person in specific, Bobby Orr. Today is his 72nd birthday. You're a Wasserman Orr client. You go back with Bobby Orr some years. When I say the name Bobby Orr, what comes to Sam Gagner's mind?
I just think class would be the first thing. I mean, he's such a classy person, and he cares about everyone, really. And I was going to say, his clients and everything, but he cares about everybody. He's just one of those people who has, he's just a genuine, nice person. I actually sent him a message saying happy birthday, and I look back through my messages, and he never misses a birthday of mine. He always sends me a happy birthday message, and it's just kind of the person he is. He's very special. It's been great kind of getting a chance to know him, and it's pretty crazy to see the humility on him when you look back and the career accolades and how great of a player he was.
Great words. Before we let you go, do you have any questions for Elliot?
For Elliot, I always have questions for Elliot. I'm trying to get the inside scoops. He's got them all.
What do you got?
That's not true,
Sam.
What's that?
You have any scoops for Sam Elliott today?
Oh.
No, I don't really, but I would like. Are you going to go into broadcasting? Do you see that in your future?
I don't know. I've obviously with the way my career has gone the last little bit, you start to think about what you're going to do afterwards. I'm not really ready for that. I want to continue to play as long as I can. I still feel like I got a lot of years left in me, but I don't know whether it be broadcasting or something in management, or I want to stay involved in the game somehow. I love the game, and I love to be a part of it, so I'll stay involved somehow.
Hockey lifer?
Now,
I think so, yeah.
The only bad thing about going into management, Sam, is that you have to hear from me more often.
Yeah, good point. I'll keep that in mind.
Might want to temper your thoughts on both career. Listen, Sam, it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy your weekend, and listen, I know you'd rather talk under better circumstances, but it's tough for everybody. I know it's tough for you and all your teammates. Thanks so much for parking some time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam.
Of the Detroit Red Wings, and thanks for joining us here on Sportsnet's YouTube channel with Sam Gagner of the